If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, Roman Puga, man, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, George?
Good, man, good. Just really excited to have you, man. Man, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you like since one of our fights in Seal Beach. Am I right?
Yeah. I think it was like late 2019.
Yeah.
One of our fighters one of the fighters that I knew, he was. I was help cornering him. Dino, he was out there. Great seeing you too, though, man. I'm glad you've been good.
Man, yeah.
It's been a hectic time that we're living in.
For real. I mean, you're toiling away in MMA. You also started a boxing career. You're 1-0 in boxing. You're still a baby, man. Right?
Yeah.
I look at your talent, and I remember how talented you are because you fought for us. But you're still a baby, man. You still got so much ahead of you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm kind of excited to see where you go. We're working on some things.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in this interview. But kind of, Roman, a lot of people probably don't know much about you, man.
Yeah.
And they should. Just kind of tell me a little bit from the beginning. I mean, were you born in California? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I was born in California. I was born and grew up in La Puente. My entire life.
Okay.
I'm the youngest out of. I have 3 other siblings. I'm the youngest. My mom and dad. I have 4 kids, and I grew up in La Puente. And it's kind of like a little rough in that area. I'll just keep it at that. And I think after I grew up with them. I think actually I was a fan of boxing first because of my dad and brother. They used to watch boxing. My dad used to watch mostly boxing fights. Like Oscar De La Hoya, then Floyd Mayweather, and Mike Tyson too. Early in late 90s, early 2000s. And then they were fans of it's a fictional movie, but they were fans of the Rocky saga.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So then, I was exposed to that, watching whatever they watched. So I became a fan of that as well. And then also Bruce Lee, martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up having interest. And then especially growing up in the area, I definitely wanted to learn how to protect myself. So it was something that I always, I remember when I started learning about MMA. I was begging my parents to enroll me into a local gym that was opening up, and then I just kept on being in their ear hey, I really want to join this gym, and thankfully after a period of time they got tired of me nagging on them, and then they enrolled me in.
Well, you mentioned La Puente growing up sounds like a bit of a rough place you grew up in, according to what you're telling me. I mean, can you touch on that a little bit? Were you getting picked on? Was something happening?
Yeah, I grew up. It was kind of tough, I grew up with I got picked on a couple times. I got jumped a couple times.
Wow.
I've gotten into. I didn't I was very more. I feel like as a kid I was a little kind of more timid. I didn't like altercations, to be honest, and so I felt like people like to prey on the weak. So
yeah.
At that time, not I was more friendly than anything. So I didn't like conflict, so I guess people probably exploited that and they took advantage. So
I wouldn't want to be someone jumping you now after seeing you fight, man.
I appreciate that. I try not to hold on to grudges, of the past, and I'm happy with everything that's happened to me, and it's grown, and I've been able to grow and develop as a young man. So I wouldn't change anything for the world.
When did the I guess the bullying, we'll call it, when did that start, and then when did the going into the fight game start for you?
I got picked on as long as I can remember, from just verbal then physically. I would say, I think, so I started training 2000, first I actually started doing boxing 2008, 2009.
And how old were you
I
at
was
the time?
11. Yeah, I kind of I liked it. I liked training, but I wasn't ready. I didn't like sparring yet.
Yeah.
So I think after a period of time, getting some rounds in, I was, maybe boxing's not for me. I was on and off for 2 years. My dad enrolled me into. First, my brother was actually in the boxing club. So after he joined, as a kid, I looked up to my brother. Then he was in the boxing gym. So then, thankfully, about a year or 2 later, I ended up enrolling there at the Morgan Park. I'm back there now. like fast forward like 6 years later, like 2016, 14, I went back. But 2009, I was training there. 2008, I think, and I was like 11, and I was on and off for like 2 years. So by the time I stopped training, actually, around winter time, 2009, around like for boxing.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, it's not for me. I want to do something else. And then that's when I started learning about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and other than Taekwondo, like Jiu-Jitsu was new to me at that age, like around 12, 13, and that's when I first got enrolled up at the UFC gym in Rosemead, and that's where I met my coach.
Wow.
That's where I met Joe Camacho, and
Rest in peace, Joe Camacho, right?
yeah, rest in peace to him. You know, he was a good friend and mentor. I feel like he guided me at a point in my life where I needed someone like that the most, and you know, it's a good learning experience. Let's just say that it's a good learning experience. It's tough, but you know, I know that I'm not the only one that's had their hardships in life, and everyone's gone through their own little, you know, their own ups and downs, their bumps in the road.
For sure. Well, I mean, at one point, did somebody try to take advantage of your being timid again and end up catching the hands, or
yeah, you know, like funny story. I was talking about this with my friend not so long ago. I was training, so I started training the UFC gym. Dude, that was my summer school. My parents would drop me off like at 11:30, and I would train. It was first Joe taught night class, and then the other coach was Mauricio Tenguida. He taught 12 p.m. to 1. So I would go for his jiu-jitsu class Monday to Thursday. He was teaching 12 to 1, 2010 summertime, right? I would train there, learn. I would absorb all the knowledge that I could, and then after class was over, you know, everyone would leave. But it was like, you know, it's a regular gym, you know, but they did have UFC gym, like they had their mats, and it was just set up throughout the day. You know, they had classes at certain time schedules, but in between 1 to 4:30 was the next class, so I would just stay there from 1 all the way to like 8 at night and get picked up at 8:30, you know, and that was like my summer.
So UFC gym summer school, basically.
Yeah, I was there like every day. I was like, you know, this is what I want to do, and I was like, yeah, I just became a nerd of the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing, and just I really wanted to perfect my technique, especially Jiu-Jitsu. It came so natural to me, like I was Jiu-Jitsu was like my bread and butter. Like that for sure. Jiu-Jitsu, I feel like it instilled an extremely amount of confidence inside of me, especially like having like a mentor like Joe. But so yeah, you know, he would teach like 4:30 to like, I think it was like 5 to 6, then 6 to 7. But even he would teach those classes usually like Monday to Thursday night times, and then I would just kick it in between, you know, the training schedules, and I would make friends. Like, hey, you guys want to drill? And we'll just drill. Then we'll do live rolling, and then or I'll go hit the heady bag and I'll practice that, or I'll go full around, kick at the arm bar or whatever, you know.
So at some point though, somebody tried getting slick with.
So I was training consistently like at that level, or not at that level, but for that period of time, and I'd say around around fall, like my freshman year in high school, that's when someone who used to always just, you know, run their mouth a lot, like my middle school, he every now and then I would walk home and he would try to like follow me and like act like he was gonna do something, and then finally one day I kind of just had it, and then I was like, all right, then like he called me out, he's like, hey, what's up, man, let's fight 1-on-1, and I was all right, F it, like, you know, like, let's go, let's do it. So then I shouldn't have done this, but I walked into his backyard, then we fought. And then in
the backyard.
In his backyard, I could have got jumped. You know, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it really happened. I would have went out swinging if that's the case. You know, at that time.
Nice, man.
But
nice.
I held my own. Then after that,
You held your own. I mean, what happened?
Nah, I don't want to get into detail. You know.
What do you mean, bro?
I held my own. You know, I did what I left untouched. I left.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm good.
Wow.
And then I left home, and then after that I went to a train.
So you beat this kid's ass, basically.
Yeah, you know. After that I squashed it. Like after that, I learned a lot from that though. Like from fighting like in the hood, it's not worth it, because then some of his friends, you know, other knuckleheads, they were all trying to challenge me, and then a couple of gang members, you know, just because they were affiliated with him. I wasn't, you know, really affiliated on that side of like, you know, gang banging or trying to like grab my set or anything
Right.
like that. But my thing, like once I found jiu-jitsu, like that's it. I didn't care. I was always geared towards that, and yeah, they were just trying to like, oh, like, who's this kid? You know, they wanted to fight with me just because of that. And then he still held a grudge, but after like about 2 weeks passed, I was like, hey man, just letting you know, like, I got nothing against you, dude. Like, it's the past, like, whatever. Yeah. He was like, all right then, so what? You want to run it? And I was like, whatever.
Oh my god.
When are you gonna run, dude? You know, I was
like, gonna get beat up again.
Yeah, so I didn't say anything after that, and I never dealt with anything like that. I never really dealt with anything like that. But I did at one time after I did kind of like I whipped his ass after a while. Like I did feel like you know, like I was kind of like becoming a little like power trip. You know, like, I can kick this guy's ass. And he's like, what's up? Like, so I was kind of holding my own for a bit, like verbally talking crap back. But I found myself like reflecting what I didn't like, which was, you know, like how they were.
Right.
And I was like, that doesn't make me any of a better person, you know. So I was just like, nah. I cut it off, and I was like, why am I gonna act like that? You know, why am I gonna act like someone that I didn't like when they were doing it to me? So
keep it in the ring, keep it in the cage.
Yeah. So if I need to defend myself, I have to, then I have to. But if not, no point. You know what I mean? There's no point of entertaining that.
Right, and this was
This was freshman year, so like about.
Oh man, it's a while back.
4 months into training, 2010. 4 months into my training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, a decade ago, so you're good.
Yeah, 10 years. It's been 10 years actually since I started this sport. Yeah.
Well, you know, the first time I want to talk to you about this. The first time I came across you, I was actually looking for a fighter for Yanok to compete against Yanok at FightersRep 2. Mm-hmm. And David Denkin actually told me, hey man, there's this kid Roman Puga. He's a good fighter, this and that. And I looked you up on the Camel website, and I was like, oh, okay, he looks good. You know, let's do this. This kid's worthy. We did it for a title. I remember we did it for a title, and that ended up being your last amateur fight. Am I right?
Yes, it was 2018. I think in January.
January of 2018. Yeah. Man, not just over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you fought Yeno Kapushin, who at the time, I mean, had a lot of experience too, was also very young, also a great fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you looked tremendous in that fight. You won that fight, and then I remember afterwards. I mean, you won, you got the belt. And then they made you #1 contender in the entire state of California for, I believe it was 145 pounds. So at that time, I mean, whether you knew it or not, beating Yanok made you the #2 behind whoever the champ was at that weight class, if there was one. Mm-hmm. That made you the best 145-pound amateur MMA fighter in the state of California. I mean, did you realize that? Or?
Honestly, I didn't. I found out, I think, what was it? I decided to go pro in MMA summertime, and then I think before if it wasn't before my fight, maybe it was after my fight. I don't remember, but I remember one of the amateur fighters from Millennia talking to me because dude, like you're ranked #1 in the state of California, and I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you are. And I was like, I didn't know that. And he was like, yeah, and he pulled it up. I was like, dude, that's badass. Like I was like, that's cool. I didn't know that. I was ranked #1, you know. So by then I was like, oh, all right. Like it felt like a good accomplishment. I was able to add that onto my list, you know, but I had no idea.
And of course I thought it was awesome because a FightersRep fighter, you know, who won a belt from us was now #1 in the state.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's true.
I tell people, you know, if you're #1 in the state in California, I mean, that's big, you know, because this is kind of the fight capital. I mean, what do you think about that, you know? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you know, I do agree with it. To a sense, you know, I feel like as long as you have the skills, you'll be able to pay the bills, you know. I tend to be honest, like I personally do not keep up with too much of a sport, although I probably should. Like some of the things you like that, what you brought up right now, that I was ranked #1, I wasn't aware of that. You know, I'm not aware of I guess I can say like I'm not really too much in the circle, you know. And it was just more due to like personal reasons from the past, but whatever. But like I just primarily I stay focused on my training. I try to push myself, and that's probably one aspect I need to work on is the networking, so that way I know like what's going on, like what to look forward for, what to look forward to, and yeah, you know, I mean, it's good. You know, I look forward to seeing what happens. You know.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a second. You kind of saying, you know, because of things that happened in the past, and you need to network more. We'll get into the networking in a second. But what I wanted to ask you was, you mentioned certain things that happened in the past. I know. I mean, having had previous discussions with you, that you went through a bit of a dark period at one point, you know, and you wouldn't be the first young person to go through a dark period. You certainly wouldn't be the first fighter to go through some maybe some depression, some downtime,
or the last.
or the last. I mean, you seem right now, you know, much happier and at ease. I mean, did something pull you out of it? What kind of caused it? If that's something you even want to share.
So it was just a build-up of everything, you know.
Yeah.
Just always trying to find a new, like always trying to work your way up the ranks, right? You're getting somewhere, and then boop, something happens, you know. Just life, you know. Like for sure, like when I was training with Joe, 2013, I wanted to continue. I wanted to fight, you know. Like in my mind, like everything was like, okay, cool. Like this is a good friend of mine. He was a good role model, a good mentor. He was a good coach. Actually amazing. That's an understatement. You know, he was an amazing friend. At least, you know, like from my experience that I've had with him, he was an amazing friend to me, and an amazing coach. He taught me everything I know as far as, you know, jiu-jitsu goes, and he was just guiding me throughout like high school with life too. And so like after he passed away, like okay, like, you know, it was a little bit of a bump in the road for me. Like aside from, you know, him being my friend, things like that, I was wrestling with, should I do this sport? Should I not do this sport? I continued in it because I knew, like, you know what, like I just gotta keep going. You know, I kept on fighting with my amateurs, and then, you know, I was training with another team, and then at the same time I was doing my boxing, and I kind of just fell off with just a lot of like shortcomings with getting fights and issues like that. Like a lot of training, but I feel like I wasn't getting anywhere. You know, a couple of fallouts with some teams, and it kind of like grows and make you bitter, you know, like, but at the end of the day, like, I love the sport, you know. I do the sport because I love it, you know. With anything, you're gonna run into situations or with people that you may not always agree with, and that's just life.
Yeah.
You know, so that was something I had to learn or relearn, that I'm doing this sport because I love it. I'm not doing it because of anything else. I do it because I love martial arts. I love competing. Like I'm not worried about, you know, don't get caught up in politics.
Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important, which is, you know, have good relationships, good meaningful relationships, and continue to train and work towards that.
I love that mentality, because the fight game really, I mean, even as a promoter, it's like disappointment after disappointment after disappointment.
It's a corrupt sport.
Bro, it's like, you know, and I tell all my guests, you know, when I do an interview, this is not the easiest thing to make a life out of, you know. This is not the easiest business. Definitely not for fighters, man. Do you see it kind of getting better? Or do you think, you know, if somebody picks the fight game, they just got to be ready for a whole lot of pain, you know?
Yeah, you got to be ready to suffer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be a champion, it's suffering. Straight up.
Yeah.
You know, like at the same time though, it's not suffering when you enjoy it, when you love it. You know what I mean? So if you look from the outsider perspective, someone who does do this sport, and you look at a fighter's life, yeah, they're suffering. You know what I mean? But to that fighter, that's enjoyment. You know, you love it. You know, you're putting in that work, you're putting in that grind. You're not worried about the pain or anything like that. You just, you know, you do it because you love it.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sure jiu-jitsu kind of helped you with that too, with all the constant tapping out you have to do. I mean, I only do jiu-jitsu very briefly, and I was like, man, if I keep getting my ass kicked like this, I don't know what's going to happen to my ego. It's either going to get stronger, I'm not going to have anything left. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's jiu-jitsu is very humbling. It's a very humbling sport. You know.
Yeah. So you talked about networking. One thing I really liked out of you, besides the fact that you're super talented, and you know, I definitely suggest people go on the FightersRep channel and look for your name so they can see your fight, Roman Puga. Very, very talented. You're only like 23, right? You're still only 23.
I'm gonna be 24 this year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Still only 23. You recently fought for Bellator not too long ago. You came up short, but you were, in my opinion, doing really well in that fight until they stopped it because you had like a cut on your eyeball or something, right?
Yeah, it was right on my eyelid.
On your eyelid. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing well in that fight.
Thank you.
You reached out to me. You know, I tell fighters all the time, man. Any way I can help, you know, I'm happy to help. And when you reached out to me, I actually got very excited about it. So I do think you're doing the right thing, reaching out to people from your past that may be able to help you.
Thank you.
And since you know reaching out to me, you know, we're talking to a few people. We're hoping. I mean, Manny Robles, who's a great friend of mine and FightersRep, and we do a podcast every Monday. Is, you know, we're going to take you over there, see how you look in boxing. We got a friend in the MMA management game, wants to take a look at you as well. I've asked you this before, you know, which do you love more? Is it MMA? Is it boxing? Where can we see Roman Puga in the next few years?
Whichever sport keeps me busy. You know, like I was training with Millennia, and thankfully they gave me a place to stay. They took me in, and they were getting me my fights for a while, and they got me my first two professional MMA fights, and so like with them, they were trying to give me fights, but on their side they were telling me it was really hard to get me fights, like fights for. Something was getting going, boom, boom. And I remember a couple of times when we were getting some fights, and like I say yes to the fighter, but then the fighter would say no, and it was just really difficult. So it was hard for me to stay active throughout 2019. You know, I think 2019. Throughout 2019 we were getting fights, and late 2018 because of that. And then that's why I decided to go do a pro boxing fight to late 2019, December.
Which you won.
Yes, yeah, I won. By knockout.
What's the MMA career looking like? You had 2 fights, you said?
Yes, I was 1-1.
Okay. Where was the first fight?
The first fight was with the Gladiator Challenge.
Okay.
Agua Caliente Casino.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you won that by submission?
Yes, I won it by submission. I think it was like a minute. Trying to choke.
Because you're very good on the floor with the jiu-jitsu, man, but you got some nasty hands too, you know?
Thank you. Yeah.
I kind of really enjoyed. I remember specifically watching you in that fight for us. The way you were kind of mixing it up, going to the body and the head and the body and the head. You know, what kind of boxing background do you have?
What do you mean exactly?
Like, you know, did you just learn to box as an MMA fighter, or did you dedicate a lot of time in a boxing gym?
Yeah. So, like I said, you know, I'm a gym rat. I was, you know, in the gym a lot. I think it was after one of my fights. Which fight was it? I think it was after Mike Martinez fight, or what was it? 2016. Actually, no, it was 2016. I had fought, came up short, and then I was kind of like, you know, every fighter has their bumps and roll. Like I said, you know, it's an emotional sport. You know, one day you're good, one day you're bad. You know, one day you're doing amazing, one day you're getting tapped out and you're getting rocked. You know, it's an emotional sport. You have your highs and your lows, and I think it was 2015 actually, 2015 December. I wanted to start doing boxing. I was talking to my dad, and he was like, dude, you gotta learn. Like, you should really focus your boxing. Like I said, I was doing boxing before. I had okay hands, you know, but you know, just beginner basic hands. But then after, like at first I was kind of like, nah, this is MMA, you know, this isn't boxing, you know, like had a not good mindset, you know. I wasn't thinking like clearly, but at the end of the day, if you want to grow in the sport, you gotta be humble, you gotta be willing to accept constructive criticism and develop on your crafts. So I was like, alright, so I talked to my dad. I was like, you know, I'm gonna go back to Morgan Park, and I was in and out. Like after high school, I was in and out of the gym, but then I decided to stay focused. Like early 2016, like 2015, December time, and then I was in the boxing gym. I was training a lot of boxing. I was there, I would say, 2 to 3 hours a day, and I trained my boxing with my boxing coach Luis Rosales, and then After boxing, I'd go home. I would train from 2 to 4, or 2 to 4:30, or maybe even 5. Go home, shower up, have a meal, do homework if I had homework. I was going to school during that time too. And then when 7 o'clock hit, it was training at my other gym that I was training at. I would go drive over there at night, and I would train from like 7:30 or 8 to like 11, and then go home, go to the gym, or go to 24 hour, get like a little workout into it, and go home and just sleep and call it a night, and do it again the next day. So I would say like between early 2016 and since 2016, I've been dedicating all my time in the boxing gym. That's when I was like, I started actually competing more boxing. I was actually supposed to do kickboxing fights for is it IK what's the kickboxing league called? IKF.
I know there's one around here. I can never remember the name.
I forget the name.
I only remember mine. That's the problem.
My apologies. The one that mattered. But I was supposed to do a kickboxing fight in 2016. Actually, three kickboxing fights. One opponent pulled out. Then another opponent pulled out the night of the fight. I was hitting mitts, and this coach kept walking back and forth. And they said that his fighter wasn't feeling too well, so then they decided to pull out the fight. Wow. So then I told my coach at the time, I was like, hey man, I'm done with this kickboxing. I'm going to try to get some boxing fights. Because my plan was, I want to dedicate this year to doing a lot of kickboxing fights, more or cut back on the jiu-jitsu tournaments. I was competing in a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I wanted to do boxing fights eventually too. My goal for 2016 was to try to win Golden Gloves. So then I was having issues with getting kickboxing fights. I wasn't really getting much sparring, so then that's when I started going to the boxing gym, and I was getting a lot of sparring there with amateur fighters with 30 fights or 40 fights, and I didn't have no boxing fights, and I was doing pretty good. And I spent a lot of time, actually, to answer your question though, sorry, I'm rambling on, to answer your question, I would spend a lot of time studying, just different fighters like Tyson or like Ali I was studying too. Another fighter I was studying was like Mayweather, Pacquiao, his combination punches. I did study a couple of MMA fighters too. Like early on in their career, I liked the way Nick D used to put his punches together. Punches and bunches, and he would work his way to the body, and go back to the head. He had a high volume of shots. So I was just taking a little bit of everything, and adding it to my game and practicing it in the gym,
Who was kind of your favorite boxer?
My favorite boxer?
If you had one.
The only person I could probably think of is Tyson. I like Tyson. I like his style. I like the way he boxes, gets on the inside. I like Ali. I like the way he moves. Like I don't have a favorite boxer necessarily.
For sure. Well, hopefully, we'll either see you in some good MMA pro bouts that you deserve, or a boxing bout. Assuming we head to Manny and he likes what he sees, maybe we go down that route. That would be pretty exciting.
That would be exciting. I appreciate you making the call for me. Reaching out to him, man. Thank you.
All day, if somebody's as talented as yourself, man, I'm 100%. I'm in, man. And you didn't give me any trouble. I mean, you'd be surprised how many guys have fought for me. Most of them have been great, but a couple, man, they just give you trouble, man.
Like they just hassle you.
You're like, where are your tickets? Like, what happened? Like
what exactly? Like,
why are you,
tickets?
Yeah, why are you 15 pounds overweight? You know what I mean? It's
dedication.
It's crazy. Besides the fight game, I mean, what are you doing right now to make a living? Because it's not easy to make a living off the fight game.
Yeah, it's not. It's tough. Most fighters are broke. The majority of society doesn't know that.
Yeah, well, sponsors. He's talking to you, sponsors.
Well, if any sponsors that may seem interested in me, hey, holler.
For sure.
Roman Puga, Instagram. But no. Back to answer your question. Right now, I'm working at. I'm a Domino's delivery driver. I'm working on the weekends, so I get paid hourly plus tips, And then right now I'm not taking a school semester. I'm not taking a school semester. I'm taking a break, and I'm trying to get my real estate license this summer.
Nice.
So it's been a hectic past 2 weeks. It's been 2-3 weeks, and I've been doing a lot of studying, trying to read through the books. That way I could take my certificates, get my certificates and be able to take the exam. So I'm working towards that as well. And I was fumbling around with the stocks a little bit.
Nice,
You know, like
nice.
before I was getting into real estate, I'd say like March, right when COVID hit. I had nothing to do, so I was like, started hearing about the stock market was taking a crash, and I was like, what's the stocks? You know, like, what's that? And then I was doing a lot of research on what the stock market is before I even began putting money in there.
And how do you kind of consider your fighting style? What do you consider yourself as a fighter?
I feel like I'm very technical. I try to pick and choose my shots. I feel like I can take my opponent's shots and catch them coming in, not create an opening. And yeah, that's probably the best way I can describe it. You know, I'm sure I can describe it better, but it's kind of just second nature when I'm in there. When I'm in there, that's when I see it and I'm able to create certain shots.
And I noticed you went to the body a lot. I mean, that's something I really liked.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what I mean?
It's underrated.
Yeah,
I feel. You know, everyone wants that picture perfect knockout. Like, oh damn, he knocked him out. You know, like getting that crowd going.
Yeah.
But you know, some people have a chin. You know, but not everyone has.
Right.
Not everyone has a good body shot.
Right.
Yeah, actually, Joe used to have. He would always like stress that like during training he was like talking about how he loved liver shots, and I was like, all right, like, you got me with a couple times. Like I got my butt whipped a couple times. You know, sparring with Joe, and that's something I kind of like carry with me throughout my career.
Did you ever get dropped with a liver shot?
Yeah, plenty of times. You know,
Yeah.
It happens. You know, you get you've had bad days, you have good days.
For sure.
Yeah, that's how you. But then it's important to take that, see what they did, and add it to your game. You know.
Yeah.
It's alright. You know, we're fighters. We fight. We get beat up. We beat people up. That's our job.
For sure. Well, I mean, I know you're headed either towards MMA, boxing, maybe both if you can, whatever keeps you active. But I mean, what's the chance we see you in a FightersRep pro kickboxing match?
Gotta hit me with that one, huh?
No pressure.
Honestly, it could be possible. I just, you know, as long as I'm getting the right training.
Yeah.
I'll get in there and throw some hands and kicks. Throw some kicks with my hands.
Where are you based out of right now?
What do you mean?
As far as training, or are you just jumping around?
Right now, I'm still training with Millennia. It's not as consistent because, you know, everything's you know, happening.
Shout out Millennia MMA.
Yeah, shout out to Millennia MMA, Romy and Batiste. You know,
For sure.
You know, Charlie Valencia, shout out to him too.
Did you ever work with Joshua Vilas?
Yes, I did actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Joshua is, man.
He's commentated for us a few times.
He has a brittle overhand right, man.
Yeah, he's a tough guy, man.
Yeah, tasted it. It's not fun. It's a hard, heavy shot.
Yeah. A lot of bad dudes around here, man.
Yeah.
A lot of bad dudes.
A lot of tough fighters in the SoCal region.
That's why I tell everybody, man, this ain't no joke around here. You know, much respect to all, you know, the rest of the country too. I mean, we definitely got some great gyms in Florida, where I'm from, New York, you know, different places. But I do think Cali is kind of where it's at. That's what I'm saying. When you were #1 amateur in California, that was big. That was big, you know. And I'm excited to see where you go next. I mean, I'm really excited to see where you go next, you know.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited too. Honestly, I can't wait to get this ball rolling again. You know, it was going good. I think when COVID got, you know, I had another boxing fight lined up. I think he had reached out to me for a kickboxing fight, but I told you I'm doing a boxing fight.
Yeah.
I had my second pro boxing fight lined up, but then, you know, COVID hit and it just put everyone behind, you know.
For sure. So do you have any sponsors right now? Who are the sponsors? Who's the team? Anyone you want to shout out? If not, man, we gotta call out for some sponsors, man. We gotta do something about that.
Hey, any sponsors wanted to take care of me? I appreciate it.
Get him before he's too cool to even answer the phone, man. Get him.
Nah, I won't be too cool, you know. Get me. You know, I'll be happy to have any type of sponsorship who's willing to help me out in my career, you know. You know, shout out to my coaches who've helped me out throughout this career. Thank you to my boxing coach, Luis Rosales. You know, thank you to Joe. Thank you to people who've opened up their academies for me to train at, and who continue to welcome me. But right now, yeah, I am kind of like looking for a new jiu-jitsu gym. I haven't really settled down yet. You know, kind of hesitant, just like, you know, it's more of a mental thing more than anything.
Yeah.
I feel, but it's something that I have to overcome. Like, understand. Like I said, love the sport. You know, and yeah, I have a gym that I'm supposed to hit up and I'm looking forward to hopefully, staying rooted there
Yeah.
for the years to come. So we'll see.
Well, hey, Roman.
Really, sorry though. Shout outs. I'll give shout outs. Thanks to my mom, my dad. I appreciate you guys' love and support. So the fighters out there, this is a tough sport. You need support, and I'm thankful that I have support like my parents and my family who continue to support me. Even when life gets tough, because it's not an easy sport. Life's not easy. So thank you to them. Thank you to my true friends, my true loved ones.
How about those older siblings? Are any of them fighting or?
No, my brother used to box. He stopped.
Yeah.
He doesn't box. And I got 2 sisters in between me. And
Gotcha.
So they're supportive as well.
Very cool, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Roman, man. Appreciate your time, brother. Thank you, man.
I
Appreciate you doing this.
Me.
Hey, if you're a sponsor out there, you're looking to sponsor a great young fighter that's going to be doing great things in the future. I got a good feeling about Roman Puga. So reach out to him. How can they reach out to you on Instagram?
You can just shoot me a direct message on Instagram. My @name is Roman Puga MMA. Go ahead and give me a follow. Reach out to me, and I'll hit you back up.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you, George, for having me.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.